Hi there, and today I'm modifying and then motorising the new LEGO City Downtown Tram set. Now this is set 60423 and it's the LEGO City Downtown Tram set, and it came out on August the 1st, 2024. First of all, we're going to look at each part of the set, then we're going to do a few small modifications, and then we're going to motorise it. So first of all, we obviously get the all-important tram, and that's comprised of two identical ends and a passenger car to go in between them. The set comes with 5 minifigures. Firstly, a passenger in a wheelchair holding a mobile phone. Next, a barista who works in the station coffee shop. Next, another passenger who looks like from his torso he's an off-duty fireman, and he's got a newspaper and a cup of coffee. Next, we have the driver of the tram. Our next to last passenger is visually impaired, and he has a seeing eye dog, and I really love this dog piece with the yellow coat, and he's got a little harness which can clip on and off on the stud on his back. Then lastly, we've got a younger passenger with the short, non-articulated legs, and he's holding a ticket. So nothing outstanding, but I think the highlight is definitely the seeing eye dog. We have one short length of platform, and on that we've got a bench for passengers to sit on, a rubbish bin, and a small bit of greenery. And then down at the end of the platform, we've got 2 4x4 tiles with stickers on them, one showing departure times of the trams, and another one showing a map of the network. We also have a longer platform for the other side of the track, and that's got this little modular bit on the end, which has got some steps and also a ramp. And then it's got the main feature, which is a coffee shop. At one end we've obviously got a coffee machine, whereas down the other end we've got a couple of newspapers for sale and a pay machine. At the coffee machine they've used this half cylinder piece to give the building a curved end. Down the other end we've got a ticket machine, and this is a really nice little sub build. It's based completely on this 6x4 plate, so it's built on its side and then attached to the end of the building like that. But I think the curved roof is the nicest part of the design of the building. We're using these large bow pieces with these clear bricks in the middle, which I think are new in transparent colour. And then we've got 2 large solar panels on the top. And it's also nice that LEGO have used the same colour scheme for this platform building as they did in the passenger train set from a few years ago. Both the platforms have got Technic bricks at the end of them, and the shorter one's got 2 Technic pins, so they can be attached together to make one long platform. And then all you need to do is move the departure boards and the information sign to the other end of the short part. And both platforms have this nice little play feature. Once the train pulls in and the doors open, you can extend these pieces of platform out to reach the train. The longer platform has 2 of these, and the shorter platform has 1 at the end. We don't get a full circle of track, we just get 4 straights and 2 of these re-railer pieces. And these 2 pieces mean that the train can be pushed around off track, and when you want it to come up to the station, you can run it up the re-railer plate, and that guides the wheels onto the track nicely so it's on the station. And then of course it can drive off down the other plate and back off the track. Now I think actually these pieces are a great idea. It means kids can play with LEGO trains without having to have a full loop of track. It also means that the train sets can be slightly cheaper because LEGO don't have to provide so many track pieces in each set. Now I really like the look of these new trams. When I first saw the picture when the images were released, I presumed it would be a fairly simple build, but actually to get these doors, which are sort of dropped below the wheels, in place, it's a fairly complex build underneath. Also, for LEGO Trains fans, it's really good to see that we've gone back to the metal axles, which make the wheels run a lot more freer than the plastic wheels that they'd started using, which just clip into their brackets. I also really like the way they've done this tapered nose at the front. The train is obviously 6 studs wide, but down the front it goes down to 4 studs. And instead of using a large moulded plastic piece, which LEGO have done in the past, to achieve the tapered nose, they've done this sub-assembly like this with 2 clips on it, and that clips onto these bar pieces in this just behind the cab here. And they click on, and then you just angle it in to make the tapered effect. It also means you get really easy access to add a minifigure. You can just angle these 2 pieces out, and then the canopy opens up on a hinge. The roofs of all 3 cars are only held on with a few studs, and by taking the roofs off you can see that each of the end cars have 2 seats for passengers. And likewise the roof of the middle car, which has a pantograph for collecting electricity, also comes off, and that has 2 seats as well, and also a dome piece in the middle for the wheelchair to attach. The cars aren't attached with the regular train magnets. Instead we've got plates with a Technic hole in it, and in that we put a Technic pin. And then there's 2 Technic lift arms on the top with another pin on the other end, and that just drops into the hole on the other coach like that, joining them together. And this is where we're going to make our first modification. Because those Technic lift arms in the middle are 4 studs long, it means we have this massive gap between the two cars. And you can see that if I get this 6x4 plate, you can see it sits between them quite happily. So there's a very big gap between the two cars. Now I did wonder if they'd made this gap so large so that it could traverse around Lego curves, which are notoriously quite tight. But even on a Lego curve, this is a regular piece of Lego track, you can see that the gap is still 2.5 studs wide, even when it's going around a corner. Now these 4 stud long Technic lift arms also come in 3 stud long versions. So what we're going to do, we're going to swap out the 4 stud ones for 3 studs and hopefully close that gap between the cars a bit. So here we have the before and after. Instead of using a Technic pin and one of these axle bars pieces, and also using 2 lift arms, I've just used one and put one of the brown bars in each end of it. So now you can see these two coaches have got one of the original couplings, and as I said, you can see that's about a 2.5 stud gap. But if we roll it round, this has now got the new coupling in it, and that has got probably about 1.5 stud gaps. So it's a lot closer together. I think it looks a lot better than the original one. So after changing that lift arm piece from light grey to black, brings me on to my second modification for the couplings. On the end of each of the cars, we've got that Techno plate, which is in the light grey, but also we've got a plate just above it in dark azure. Now I think it would tidy up the ends of these cars an awful lot if we change both those pieces for black. Now the Technic curve plate does come in black, and the plate above it is just a 2x4, which is easy to find in black. So I've got a small pot of pieces here, and as a side note, if you're ever in the town of Woolacombe in England and you happen to go to the Woolacombe Bay Cinema, when you buy sweets you get them in these handy little tiny cardboard pots, and I have dozens of these, which are really useful for keeping small bits of Lego in. So I've got 4 of the plates with the Technic hole in to make the connectors between each of the cars. I've got 4 2x4 plates to go above them, and I've got pieces to make the second joiner for the other side of the passenger car. Now the 2x4 plate, which is above the connector there, runs into the passenger car itself. So if you remove that seat, you can see it sits there. So actually I'm going to quite prefer that to be black here as well, so we'll have black behind the seat on each side of the car. So it's really easy just to remove a few end parts from the coach, and then you remove that 2x4 plate and the Technic plate below, and we reinstate a black one where it was, and then a black 2x4 plate on top. Then we can put the end of the coach back on. And I think on this end now, that looks a lot neater. So here's our before and after shot. Here's the passenger car with the colours changed, and this is one of the driving ends with the colours not changed. And so we're going to change the couplings on all the other ones. Also, this grey plate above the red stripe here, we're going to change that for red so it matches the middle car. So for the end car, it's exactly the same process. We're going to take this 2x6 off the top here. Then we're going to take a few parts of the back off, and then take the chair out. We've got access to that 2x4 and the Technic plate, and if we just ease those off like that, we can add in a new black Technic plate like that, a new black 2x4 on top, and obviously make sure we put the seat back in. Then when we put the back of the car back on, we can see that grey plate here, so we're going to just pop that one off. And before we put the piece of roof back in, I'm going to need 1x4, so I'm going to replace it with a 2x4. But that's fine because that piece doesn't come off with the roof, it stays on all the time. And then again, comparing the two driving cars before and after, you can see replacing those pieces down the bottom for black and the one at the top for red, I think smartens this one up a lot more. So with the colours changed on both ends cars and the passenger car in the middle, I think they look a lot neater all matching like that. That's the end of the modifications, and on to the motorisation. Now for motorising, I've decided to use the powered up system, and that's because you just need this powered up battery box, and that's also got the Bluetooth connector receiver built into it, and then you just need the train motor to go on the wheels. On the old power function system, you needed this, the train motor, and you also needed the infrared receiver, and there's not much space in this car, so I thought this would be more space efficient. Now being 4 studs wide, this will happily sit inside the passenger car. However, it's going to give you a very ugly view of the battery box through the windows. And I've seen a few other people on YouTube motorising this way, but I thought it'd be much better to have a separate car for the power and keep the passenger car for the people. So here's our powered up motor, and I'm going to add the decorative sides to it just to give the wheels sort of the matching look as the original train has. But as you can see, we don't have the many studs on top, so first of all we've got to extend this base just so we've got some studs to build on. So first of all, I've got a 2x6 brick in black, and I'm going to add a 1x2 plate on the end of it, on each end underneath, and then a 1x4 in the middle. That could have been a 2x6 plate, but I just had these pieces to hand. Then on top of it, I'm going to put a 2x2 plate here and another one on top. And then a 2x2 plate on the other side and another one on top of that. And then in between them, I'm going to put obviously our all-important Technic connector and a 2x4 plate on top of it, like that, to join it to the motor. So that will then sit on the end of the motor like that. And then I made another one of those identical, and if you lift up the cable at the other end, that one can sit on the other end of the motor. So we've extended it slightly and we've now got lots of studs to build on. And if we compare what I've made with the original passenger car, you can see after that black at the bottom around the wheels, our next layer is a layer of red bricks. Now the inside I've built is now one plate higher than these two studs in the middle on the sort of decorative wheel side. So what we're going to also do is add a 1x4 black plate in the middle there. So if we start with that 1x4 black plate and we add a 1x2 red brick and a 1x6 red brick on both sides like that, and then we're going to put tiles on the top of that. So I've got a 1x4 and a 1x8, and then that's going to be the side of our power car. So we're going to add that to the base that we made, and that's going to click on there, and you can see that plate now sits nicely on top of the sort of side of the wheels. Then I've made another one identical, and that's going to go on the other side. And we're starting to make progress. So we've got to add the powered up hub on top in the middle here. However, we have got that Technic pin sticking up from the train motor. So this is going to actually just wobble around if we try and attach it to there. So we need to give it some studs to attach to. So what I'm going to do, get some 2x4 plates, put one there, and then another one on top. And if we get the hub, making sure the connectors are the same end as the cable, it can sit on top of that 2x4 plate. If we push it down hard on the studs, and that is all secure. Now obviously on the end I want to replicate the look of the passenger car in the middle. However, we don't want this big window that you can look in and see the powered up hub. So what we're going to do, the same construction as this, only we're going to change that glass window for a red panel. So first of all on the end I'm going to add a red 2x4 brick just in there, and then the same piece as the glass panel, we've got it in red. That's going to go in the middle, and then we won't be seeing the powered up hub. Then on each corner, same technique as used on the actual train, we've got a red plate and then a red 1x2 snot brick and then a 1x1 on top of it. Then that's going to go next door to it, and the same assembly on the other side. And to hold it all together, a 1x6 plate on top, and then a 1x2 tile, 1x1, 1x6 tile on top. And then to make it look like the rest of the train, we're going to put these 1x8 black tiles down the edges. And then if we hold it up against our passenger car, you can see we've got a similar looking train. And for the other end, I've got exactly the same structure. We're going to add that here, but obviously we've got to just coil up the cable behind it. So we've got the wheels and the ends, we just need to make the roof and the sides. Then first of all for the roof, I'm going to add this 6x8 plate on the end here. That's going to attach to the powered up hub. And I'm going to add some 1x6 tiles down the sides to match the rest of the train like that. And I also noticed on the end cars that they used those grill plates. So I thought I would add two of those in the middle just for a little bit of interest. And then the rest of the roof is going to be this 6x6, again, the two 1x6 tiles, and that's going to sit on top of here, and that's going to be our easy access panel to get to the power button. Now on the roof of the original train, they had this light grey structure. This has the sort of pantograph on it, and this one has what looks like a fan. So we're going to copy that design on our new car. So first of all, we're going to add two of those slope pieces, one on each side of the centre line. And then they also have these 1x2 cheese slope pieces. They go in there and there. And now this should have one of those fan pieces, but as it's going to be the power car, what I thought we would do is if we take the pantograph off the passenger car and put it on here, that makes more sense as this is going to be the power car, and then we'll replace that pantograph with the same sort of fan piece that the other ones have. So now our passenger car has the same roof as the end cars, and our new power car has the pantograph. So all we've got left to do is give it some sides, and I didn't want to just do red panels or red bricks as I thought that would look slightly boring, so I thought we'd do something more interesting. Now coincidentally, the most recent passenger train came in green, but I changed its colour to red, and you can see that video on my channel, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. So I thought as the colour schemes of the two trains now match, I thought we could replicate this design on the side of our tram as well. So I'm starting off with this 4x12 dark grey plate, and what I'm going to do is add those red triangle tiles in the corners like that. Then matching black triangles go just inside them, with making that sort of chevron shape. Then we're going to fill up the space with regular 1x2 grill plates. So we've got 4 along the top, we're going to have 4 along the bottom or top. It's symmetrical, so it doesn't really matter. Oops, that was upside down. Like that. Fill up 2 on each side. And then the original passenger train had a 2x4 black tile in the middle like that. So you can see that we've now got a very similar looking panel to the original passenger train. However, that had the Lego City Transport logo in the middle on the tile, on the 2x4 tile in the middle. But it just so happens that I've got a spare sticker sheet for that set. So what we're going to do, we're going to take those stickers, add it to this side, make a duplicate side, and then we've got the power car virtually finished. So with both those panels complete, we just need to fix them in place. I'm going to be attaching them with these right angle snot plates, but just so they've got something to attach to, I'm going to first of all add this 2x4 in the end of the car. And now those plates can sit on top of that. So I've got both those brackets down one end. What I'm going to do is add the inverted piece just above it to give it a little bit more strength. So it doesn't matter what colour these are, as they won't get shown in the final model. But now I've got 2 brackets to attach at top and bottom. Then down the other end, we don't want to have brackets attaching it to the roof, obviously, because we want that roof panel to be as easy as possible to take off to get to the power button. So what I've got is these 1x2 bracket plates and a 1x4 joining them together. And if we attach that down this end like that, that's going to join the 2 together and just stop them spreading apart around the battery box. So if I add this one first, that grey bracket's obviously got to go and sit on that 2x4 tile. So we're going to slide that in from this side and squeeze it down at that end. And then this is going to be very loose at this end until the other one holds it together. And then this one, in fact, if I take that bracket off and attach it first, probably going to make it much easier. Attach that there, then this can just squeeze on the side, attach at the bottom, and attach on that black plate here, and those 2 sides are now fixed in place. And when we attach the 6x8 roof piece, that's going to hold everything in place down that end, and that's going to make it a much more sturdy structure. And then we add the other piece at the other end, covering up our power button, but makes that one easy to lift off to access the power button when we need to. So with our power car complete and in place, it means we've now got 1 driving cab, 1 passenger car, 1 power car, and the other driving cab. But I didn't think that that looked very symmetrical, so I thought what I'd do is get the pieces together and build another passenger car. Then that can go in the gap here, so we'd have a driving car, power car, another passenger car, and another driving cab. And now I'm desperately running out of space here on my build desk, but we've got our driving cab, our passenger car, our power car, another passenger car, and another driving cab at the other end, and we have our complete train. So what we need to do is set up a bit of track and get it running. But before we see it let loose on a bit of track, please let me know in the comments below what you think of this build, especially if you've got any ideas for further modifications and upgrades. If you've liked what you've seen, please do give it a thumbs up, and of course, please subscribe for more LEGO videos.